Town Board meeting of March 6th. Please rise for pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Matthew Wolliver, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Tonight's agenda is not that long. The first thing on the agenda will be set a date for will be a public hearing for Town Code Amendment Section 19535. 2 is appoint Alicia Bacardi as an evidence tech for the police department. 3 will be a presentation from Duchess Dodge in reference to Nemes Way. 4 will be authorize the clerk to advertise for bid sanitary sewer pipe CIPP spot repairs. 5 will be authorize the engineering department and clerk to advertise for bids of CIPP lateral tap repairs. 6 will be appoint James LaRosa to the Zoning Board of Appeals. 7, authorize the Hudson Valley Senior Softball League park use permit. 8, set a date for public hearing in relation to chickens. 9, proclaim May as Mental Health Month. 10, authorize the supervisor to sign sidewalk maintenance agreement with Creek Road Apartments. 11, authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of agreement, Poughkeepsie Joint Water Project. 12, notification liquor license Frontera Tacos and Tequila, 842 Main Street. 13, notification, refer to legal, Paracello versus the town. Like a motion to suspend the rules for any comment on any item on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody like to discuss any item on the agenda at this time? Come on up.
Yes, my name is Bruce Gendron.
You have to come up to the,
The microphone?
yeah, please.
This one or this one?
That one right there,
Whichever
Bruce.
one works. My name is Bruce Gendron. I'm from Ward 2. I am here to voice my support for the chicken proposal. Anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to, about my reasons for that, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, Bruce, I think it's probably more along the line of time of the actual public hearing, but
Okay.
thanks for the comment. This is just setting the date for that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mark Condon, Fourth Ward. Again, I'd like to echo what the other gentleman said. I'm supportive of the chicken zoning code change. I'd be more than happy to discuss at anyone's convenience. Maybe I'll send an email out and inviting discussion and, you know, why I have that opinion and why I think it would be a good thing for the town of Poughkeepsie. Thank you.
Just state your name for the record.
Oh, Mark Condon,
Okay, thank you. I didn't
C-O-N-D-O-N.
hear it. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Make a motion to resume the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
We have first thing's a public hearing on vehicle and traffic. Make a motion to open the first public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody to discuss this public hearing at all? In relation to some traffic language in relation to parking tickets? If not, motion to resume the rules.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Renahan.
Be enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held March 6, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt local law amendments to Town Code Chapter 195 entitled Vehicle and Traffic, specifically 195-31.1 A, B, C, and D, 195-31.2, 195-31.3, 195-31.4, and 195-35A and C, and 195-35-1, all as detailed on Exhibit A, Annex Hereto, with the language to be added, underscored, and language to be deleted, stricken, which exhibit is incorporated herein by reference as if it were written verbatim, and be it further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on February 21st, 2019, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on February 25th, 2019, and be it further enacted that the said local law shall take effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. It's the end of our public hearings. First thing on the agenda, number 2, Mr. Fellows.
Resolution 2, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Lisa A. Biscardi to the position of full-time evidence technician under the provisions of the Civil Service Law at the grade 6, step 1, yearly salary of $45,780.80, effective March 18, 2019, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26 nor more than 52 weeks per Civil Service Law. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Number 3 is a presentation of Duchess Dodge in relation to a property in Nemes Way. Gentlemen?
Gentlemen, if you could just put that on this side, because there's a camera there that. Sure. Sometimes,
That's what I thought.
sorry about that.
There you go.
Thank you. Share one. Good enough?
Thank you. Okay, got it.
Good evening.
So just state your name for the record, gentlemen.
Bill Povell, engineer for the applicant.
Sean Mulcahy, Duchess Chrysler Jeep Dodge.
Thank you.
Sir. Is this working?
Nope.
It takes a little while.
How about now? Yep.
You got it?
Okay, again, I'm Bill Povell. I'm the engineer for Mr. Mulcahy on Duchess Dodge. We're here tonight. Mr. Mulcahy has entered into contract to buy 3 residential partners behind the Duchess Dodge car dealership, whereas there's a 0.9 acre parcel, a small acre, parcel here for one home. There's an it's about 8.8 acres, which is the rest of this back parcel. And then there's actually a small little cutout parcel for a third house, which is only 0.21 acres. All 3 of these houses use a shared driveway along the north side of the property and go out the north entrance where Duchess Dodge is. In purchasing this property, the intent would be to take out about 3 acres. With this particular plan, we're looking at 3.1 acres off the big parcel and make that parking for the dealership. Right now, there's a large need for additional parking, as you may be aware. So in purchasing these 3 parcels, that would give them the ability to add more parking to the rear. And what they would do is turn this residence, this 0.9 acre parcel would become part of Duchess Dodge. The garage in the back would become part of the auto detailing component associated with the dealership. The house would be turned into offices, and then the 3 acres that would be taken off the large residential piece would be added as well for the parking. So that would leave the other 2 homes in the rear that would remain homes. So with that, the residential parcels are zoned R20. Duchess Dodge is highway business. And with this plan, the proposal would be to rezone that portion of the residential parcel that would be connected to the Dutchess Dodge parcel as highway business in order to do the parking.
And leave the back residential?
That would remain rental unit, residential.
Residential.
Yep. And we did have some preliminary conversations with the planning department, and one of the main reasons for actually taking off the 3 acres and adding the 0.9 acre parcel to the Dutchess Dodge is zoning doesn't allow just parking on a lot without a principal use. So by combining all this land as one piece, it would conform 100% with the zoning. And that's why we're here.
What about the 3 structures on the very end? The
Right-
small house, those other houses, they're kind of
Yeah,
abandoned.
this is a house that would just be rented out, and this is also a house, which is actually on the large piece, which would continue to be rented out. And then this is a barn, just a,
So people are gonna still continue to live there
correct.
and use that road
Yes.
driveway
Yep.
out?
Yep. Nothing would change with the driveway for the access of these 2 homes. That would continue to be the same. This parking lot, as we have it proposed, would connect to the back of the existing Dutchess Dodge parking.
Would there be a buffer up there so they're not sitting next to a parking lot or any
Yes.
trees or?
Yes, we are proposing to keep the 30-foot buffer around the parking. And this parking would be a gravel parking lot,
Oh, gravel, not paved.
not paved, no.
Okay, good. So it'll be obviously permeable for
Yes.
water. And
Yes.
That's good.
And we did show a
Stormwater,
stormwater basin in the front because we're disturbing more than 1 acre, as you're aware. We need to provide that treatment
Okay, where are all the closest residents? In the back, way up in the back?
up in here.
And then you have one resident in that big white piece,
And then there's one here.
and the next lot down is a school,
This is the
correct?
school, and then this is the old Maple Lane Mobile Home Park that's vacant now.
But it looks like on the back end, that's naturally screened already, right?
Yes.
I'm looking at the parcel access
yeah.
here. Yeah, I am.
Yep.
That was one of the
There
discussions.
would be a significant distance from the back of this parking to these homes. And the way this grading is, it would be even set down a little bit.
Because right by the back of it is where it starts to head up the hill.
Right. To make the grading work with this parking lot, we'd actually be cutting into this hill a little bit. So the back of this parking lot would be lower in the ground as you get towards these homes. So that would also help shed the view.
And no lighting issues, right? It looks like there's a pretty good distance, that there's not going to be any
Right.
lighting issues with the neighbors, right?
Now, we're proposing some very low-level lighting just for security purposes, and we're gonna comply with the town code that they'll be shielded directly down, so there'll be no off-site glare.
Okay.
So all the lighting would conform.
Is there any thought with that parcel that's still in white to the south of where the parking area is? Because right next to that is Nassau Road School, right?
That big parking lot has one resident, that big white spot has one
Yeah.
one resident lives in there.
It's one in the middle. That's gonna stay.
That's gonna stay.
Okay.
Anybody got any other questions? No. I guess, we'll discuss it, and the next step, if I'm correct, is refer it to the planning board.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jessica.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the town clerk to advertise for bids for sanitary sewer pipe CIPP spot repairs 2019 pursuant to plans and specifications prepared, which plans and specifications will be available on March 11th, 2019 in the office of the town clerk, and bid opening will be held on April 10th, 2019 at 11 a.m. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reserve the right to accept or reject all bids in whole or part, and be it further resolved that the Town Board does hereby determine that this is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved?
Second?
Okay, motion is second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorize the town clerk to advertise for bids for the KIP lateral tap repairs 2019 pursuant to the plans and specifications prepared, which plans and specifications will be available on March 11, 2019 in the office of the town clerk, and the bid opening will be held on April 10, 2019 at 11 a.m. And be it further resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reserve the right to accept or reject all bids in whole or part. And be it further resolved that the Town Board does hereby determine this is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? These are the final two for all our DEC consent orders. If we get all this done, the only thing left on our plate for these, I'm pretty sure, just a Spat Kill Pump Station, which is a few years out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution 6, be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint James LaRosa to the current vacant position on the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals for a 7-year term, which term is from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2025. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, I just want to thank James is here tonight, and I just want to thank Carmen for all the time that she dedicated to this committee, this board for a while. She's really been trying to find a replacement. It took a while to find one, and James stepped up to volunteer for this board, so.
And as you said, Jeff, I appointed Carmen in 2003. She's been a diehard all these years, and even once she moved, I mean, she's still willing to come forward. And her husband was my predecessor and a great guy. I think she definitely served her time, and she really had her whole mindset on this. She did a fantastic job.
Yeah, she did.
And I think if she would want to be on as an alternate this time, I
Yeah.
still think it may be something available.
Welcome aboard to a thankless job.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. James, would you like to say anything? Okay. Welcome aboard. Good luck.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the park faculties and program director to issue a permit to the Hudson Valley Senior Softball League for utilization of the town ball fields at a price of $325 per field for the season pursuant to the attached request, and be further resolved, the Town of Poughkeepsie is in receipt of a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Whereas the town board has received a communication recommending an amendment to Chapter 210 entitled Zoning to add 210-62.1 entitled Chickens, keeping of an amendment to 210-9 entitled Definitions, and to add to Chapter 104-4 Fee Schedule, Chapter 105-4V 36. And whereas the proposed amendments are annexed hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein as if recited verbatim, with the words underlined to be added and those words stricken to be deleted, and the town board does direct that the said amendments be spread across the records if they in fact have been read verbatim. Whereas this action to amend the zoning law is a Type 1 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, a long-form environmental assessment form, EAF, is annexed hereto. And whereas the town board has determined the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development and to the Town Planning Board for review and recommendation, and whereas the amendment requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby states that because only the town board can consider and adopt changes to the town code, that is the only involved agency, and the board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinate the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of Environmental Conservation Law. 2. The town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment for April 17th, 2019, 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as a matter may come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 3. The town board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to GML 239M. And 4. The town board refers this matter to the planning board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code Section 210-154. And 5. The town board directs the town clerk to notify the clerks of each of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Any question on chickens?
I'd just like to say, reading through this, and you did a great job.
Oh, well, no, it was a team effort, and
well-
I just want to let the public know, in a nutshell, what this says is you're allowed to have up to 6 hens. No roosters, no ducks, no swans, nothing, just 6 hens. And that people are required to keep the hens in their yard, they have to keep them clean, they have to keep them fed. You can't sell your eggs, you can't put up a stand on the side of the road and sell your eggs. The eggs are for your personal use. And that currently Beacon, the city of Beacon, and the town of Fishkill allow for chickens, and our code is roughly modeled after theirs, although we made some adjustments where we felt they would fit better for the town. And that's basically it.
Well, you guys hit on everything I could possibly have a question about.
Oh, good.
So even
yeah.
the fine was very good.
Yeah, and
So
if anybody has any questions,
Minnie did a good job.
Feel free to call the chicken councilwoman.
call me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion passes 7-0.
Whereas mental health is essential to the well-being and the vitality of our families, businesses, and communities, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, with 1 out of 4 Americans and 1 out of 5 children affected by mental illness, and whereas more people die from suicide in the United States than from traffic accidents, and an estimated 22 veterans die from suicide each day, and whereas stigma and fear discrimination keep many who would benefit from mental health services from seeking help, and whereas education, compassion, and awareness about mental illness can change negative attitudes and behavior towards people with mental illness, and whereas each business, school, government agency, law enforcement agencies, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now therefore, be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie, on behalf of the town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby proclaim month of May 2019 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie also calls upon all town of Poughkeepsie residents, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illnesses, reducing stigma and discrimination, and promoting appropriate and accessible services for all individuals. And be it further resolved that the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, Mid-Hudson is hereby authorized by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie to tie ribbons on the walking path along Wilbur Boulevard in the town of Poughkeepsie and at the town of Poughkeepsie Town Hall. So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Any questions on this? All I can say was, mental illness doesn't really get the, shouldn't say advertisement, but doesn't get the notoriety they should get. People see everything as an opiate epidemic, heroin and pills. Mental illness has become one of our major crises. We just did the BEAT program last week with the police department, so I think this is definitely a group that we need to help out as much as possible and advertise and let them get their word out, because it's become a major issue and almost to a point of a crisis, if you ask me.
Well, a large part of that is because a lot of mental health providers do not take insurance. You have to pay out of pocket, and it could cost anywhere from $350 up.
And as you said, Mike, and a lot of people are afraid to, go out and, let people know they have an issue. So it's hard, and this group that does, I think, do a phenomenal job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign the sidewalk maintenance agreement and any supporting recording documents in regard to the Creek Road Apartments project in substantially the form attached. And be it further resolved that such acceptance and authorization by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by the town attorney, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions on the sidewalk? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie and the city of Poughkeepsie operate jointly the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Project pursuant to an intermunicipal agreement dated August 3rd, 1995, IMA, and whereas the town and city have been involved in discussions regarding accounting practices and the distribution of revenue from the sale of water to third party in accordance with the IMA, and whereas the town and the city have reached an understanding as to the above mentioned items as set forth in sum and substance in the letter in the annex letter agreement dated February 7th, 2019. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the annex letter agreement with the city. So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any questions on this?
I have
The only,
both the words to say about this.
the only thing I will say is the city has approved this letter at their Monday night meeting.
Yep.
The path to this agreement tonight started 5 years ago last month. My second month on the town board, I was assigned to represent the town board at the Joint Water Board. Before I went to that first meeting, I read the intermunicipal agreement that created the Poughkeepsie Joint Water District and the Joint Water Board. At that first meeting in February, the then mayor of the city of Poughkeepsie reported there would be about $2,000 in late fees. When I questioned that, I was told, quote, "Bill, this is the way government works. Sometimes we have to delay paying the bills. We know that Central Hudson will turn off our electric if we pay them late." That didn't make any common sense to me. The IMA requires that the town and city prepay their quarterly payments for the operation of the Joint Water Board. Back then, it would have been about $350,000 each, city and town, $700,000 prepaid. I couldn't understand why there'd be any late fees. The IMA set up that the city of Poughkeepsie would be the administrator of the operating account, one single account into which all funds had to be deposited per the IMA. So I asked to see copies of the bank statements for the Joint Water Board. I wasn't given copies, so I asked for a meeting at the city hall with the then city manager and the finance staff. At that meeting, the then city manager told me he wasn't going to show me anything. He made a comment about me being a private investigator, and he wasn't going to show me anything, and got up and walked out of the meeting. The then city finance commissioner assured me that there would be no more late penalties. I was a sitting member of the Joint Water Board and an elected member of this town board, and that I was refused to allow to review the bank statements for the Joint Water Board. That didn't make any sense. City manager was right about me. I was a private investigator. I'm a retired police officer. I served here in the town of Poughkeepsie up to the rank of lieutenant, and then 11 years as chief down in Putnam. With my background, I started to really learn about how the city was administering the Joint Water Board Operating Funds account. According to the intermunicipal agreement, a signed contract between the city and town, in an account separate from all other city funds is where that money is supposed to go. I want to make sure that the funds were paid into that single account. It says they shall be used solely for items in the approved joint project operating budget from a section in the IMA. Well, in 2015, the New York State Controller did an audit of the Joint Water Board fiscal activities for 2014. And in their report, they told the city to stop commingling funds, and that there were over $12,000 in late fees. Remember, I started at $2,000, and I was promised that there'd be no more? I then went looking for the 2004 copy of the New York State Controller's office. It said the same thing. The city was to stop commingling funds. I continued my actions in this matter and found that the commingling of funds was the city depositing the payments by the town and from outside water sales into their consolidation account. That was a city account, and any deposits in it were a violation of the IMA. Outside water sales, that's money from the sale of water to third parties. The water plant is jointly owned between the town and the city. It produces clean, beautiful drinking water, about 19.1 million gallons a day. Back then, the town used about 4.5 million gallons a day, and the city used about 5.5 million gallons a day. That means there was a surplus of 9 million gallons a day. That could be sold to third parties. In 2007, IBM East Fishkill entered into an agreement with the Joint Water Project to purchase water for their East Fishkill site. county has the water main for that, goes down underneath our rail trail to East Fishkill. In that first year of outside sales, IBM, this is approximately 2007, the first part of the year, the income to the joint water project from IBM was approximately $125,000 a month. That's $1.5 million a year from outside sales. That income was being deposited into the city account, what they call their consolidation account, not in the joint water board account as required in the IMA. I was told that the city then transferred funds as needed for the joint water board payroll and to pay the joint water board bills. Remember, this all started with late payments charged to the joint water board. Right then I knew why there were late payments. If the IMA was being followed, the joint water board could see the bank statements. It would have been easy to see the financial condition of the joint water project, and the joint water board could then act to deal with whatever the problems are. There were no problems in the joint water board. It was the city using that income to support city funds, and when they ran short, the joint water board got the late payment fees. The city, in the yearly reconciliation, paid those fees. The reason I wasn't allowed to see any of the bank statements was because the then city, I'm saying then, this is all the way back to my first month in office, they were trying to hide what they were doing with the money from the outside sales. Tonight, this little agreement is to stop all of the acts that I found going on. It also includes the city paying back the town for funds taken from 2016, 17, and 18. While I would like to go after the city for every cent that they took, realistically, the costs associated with legal fees would actually significantly reduce the amount of money the town would actually realize. And going to court, and that's like a crap game. You may win, you may not win, you might get a wrong jury. It's not worth the risk. So in this agreement, the city is agreeing to stop commingling funds, to divide equally the water from the outside sales, and to pay us our fair share. This has been 5 years for me, and I have been, I don't want to use a negative word here, I have reminded poignantly the town board on occasion about this. I'm going to sign this letter of agreement. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than we had, and at least it stops. Thank you, Supervisor, for letting me say that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Number 12 is a liquor license renewal. Number 13 is a notification of claim, Araceli versus the town. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any town item at all.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody like to discuss any item in relation to the town at all? If not, a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just got one thing, as everyone knows with Lent here, there's a couple nonprofit businesses or places in the town there that are doing the fish fries that are starting this Friday. Both the New Hampshire Fire Department, I know American Legions is also having it. Does anybody else know, so I can announce it? So if you could, like I said, try to support those nonprofits and get a good meal.
Firehouse is from 4 to
4 to 8.
take out and eat in?
Yep.
And
both.
American Legion, I believe, is 4:30 to 7:30.
same thing, eat out and take in?
Both
Eat in
take out and eat in, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think, Jeff, I agree with you to sponsor them. I think they're both great food they offer that night. And I enjoyed the time I served them.
Two ends of the town, there's a lot of customers.
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Like to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in
Motion to
favor?
adjourn.
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.